chapter 25. I strike the Jolly Roger. It's getting a bit sort of Siri, that, isn't it? I don't know what I was aiming for when I first did it, to be honest. Just general audio, but noise. Anyway, here we go. Jim has just climbed aboard the Hispaniola, the pirate ship. I had scarce gained... How's the sound effect for everyone, by the way? I just realised I never checked that. Is it coming through okay? The noise of the... The noise of the ship. Relaxing noise of the ship. Idling in the waves. Is that coming out okay? Is it too loud? Is it not even there? All good, says Roly Poly. That's good enough for me. 3 thumbs up emojis is good enough for me. We're on deck. On deck. On the Hispaniola. I had scarce gained a position on the bowsprit when the flying jib flapped and filled upon the other tack with a report like a gun. Right, there's so much ship vocabulary in that first sentence. What he's basically saying is the big sail has gone whoop, like that because the wind's caught it, whoop, which would be very, very loud. Huge piece of canvas. Huge. Piece of canvas the size of a building, designed to catch the wind. It's very loud. The schooner trembled to her keel under the reverse, but next moment the other sail still drawing, the jib flapped back again and hung idle. Phew. This had nearly tossed me off into the sea, and now I lost no time, crawled back along the bowsprit and tumbled head foremost on the deck. And we're on. I was on the lee side of the forecastle, so you all know where that is, and the mainsail, which was still drawing, concealed from me a certain portion of the afterdeck. Basically, he's at the back. He's at the back of the ship. He's on the big sticky outy bit of the ship, and he can't quite see because the big sail's in the way, so he can't see the rest of the ship. Okay. Not a soul was to be seen. The planks, which had not been swabbed since the mutiny, bore the print of many feet. And an empty bottle, broken by the neck, tumbled to and fro like a live thing in the scuppers. Messy. They're mucky pups, these pirates. There were the 2 watchmen, sure enough. Red cap on his back. So that's Psycho Willy Winky, remember from the previous chapter. Red cap on his back, as stiff as a handspike, with his arms stretched out like those of a crucifix, and his teeth showing through his open lips. Israel hands propped against the bulwarks, his chin on his chest, his hands lying open before him on the deck, his face as white under its tan as a tallow candle. So they're in a bit of a state, these pair. For a while the ship kept bucking and sidling like a vicious horse, the sails filling, now on one tack, now on another, and the boom swinging to and fro, till the mast groaned aloud under the strain. Now and again, too, there would come a cloud of light sprays over the bulwark. I don't need to do that, do I? The computer's doing it itself. And a heavy blow of the ship's bows against the swell. So much heavier weather was made of it by this great rigged ship than by my homemade lopsided coracle, now gone to the bottom of the sea. Yeah, his little coracle's been squished and kaplumped. At every jump of the schooner, Redcap, henceforth who I'm going to call Psycho Willy Winky, Psycho Willy Winky slipped to and fro, but what was ghastly to behold, neither his attitude nor his fixed teeth-disclosing grin was anyway disturbed by this rough usage. So basically, he's lying there like this, and the ship's bucking all over the place, but he's just going. Absolutely horrible. That is creepy, Jim. Almost as creepy as them giant sea slugs from yesterday. At every jump, too, Hans appeared still more to sink into himself and settle down upon the deck, his feet sliding ever the farther out, and little by little hid from me. And at last I could see nothing beyond his ear and the frayed ringlet of one whisker. At the same time I observed, around both of them, splashes of dark blood upon the planks, and began to feel sure that they had killed each other. in their drunken wrath. It's like a bit like in Fallout 4 or Skyrim, where you're like walking along. It's like, you have discovered Israel Hands' cabin, and you go in and there's two dead NPCs, blood everywhere, and there's like Israel Hands' note, and then you pick it up and it's like, me and him were fighting again today. It's like, what? When did you write this? When you were fighting? Just before you were killed? Anyway, a goblin's going to come out and attack me in a minute, so I better concentrate on that. That sort of thing. While I was thus looking and wondering, in a calm moment when the ship was still, Israel Hands turned partly round, and with a low moan, writhed himself back to the position in which I'd seen him first. He's still alive. So he's like that. He's come on deck and he's going. No, he's like that first. And then gradually. And then. And he's back. The moan, which told of pain and deadly weakness, and the way in which his jaw hung open, also his jaw's hanging open as well, went right to my heart. But when I remember the talk I'd overheard from the apple barrel, all pity left me. Yeah, because he was planning on killing everybody, so don't feel too sorry for him. I walked aft until I reached the mainmast. "Come aboard, Mr. Hands," I said ironically, cocky all of a sudden. He rolled his eyes round heavily, but he was too far gone to express surprise. All he could do was utter one word. So he's rolled his eye. "Brandy." It occurred to me there was no time to lose, and dodging the boom as it once more lurched across the deck — that's a big piece of timber that sort of steadies the sail, so that's sort of swinging to and fro across the deck because nobody's tied it down or steadied it or anything like that. Dodging the boom as it once more lurched across the deck, I slipped aft and down the companion stairs into the cabin. It was such a scene of confusion as you can hardly fancy. All the lockfast places had been broken open in quest of the chart. The floor was thick with mud, where ruffians had sat down to drink or consult after wading in the marshes round their camp. The bulkheads, all painted in clear white and beaded round with gilt, as in like little sort of gold paint, bore a pattern of dirty hands. Not a Corona-friendly ship, this, by the sounds of it. Dozens of empty bottles clinked together in corners to the rolling of the ship. Clink, clink. One of the doctor's medical books lay open on the table, half of the leaves gutted out, I suppose for pipe lights. In the midst of all this, the lamp still cast a smoky glow, obscure and brown as umber. I went into the cellar. Ooh, sorry, banged my desk there. I went into the cellar. All the barrels were gone, and of the bottles, a most surprising number had been drunk out and thrown away. Certainly, since the mutiny began, not a man of them could ever have been sober. Foraging about, I found a bottle with some brandy left for Hans, and for myself I routed out some biscuit, some pickled fruits, a great bunch of raisins, and a piece of cheese. Ben Gunn's dream. With these I came on deck, put down my own stock behind the rudder head, and well out of the coxswain's reach, went forward to the water breaker and had a good deep drink of water. But he's relieved to have that. And then, not till then, gave Hans the brandy. He must have drunk a gill before he took the bottle from his mouth. So, a gill is a big measure of brandy. "Aye," said he. "By thunder, but I wanted some of that." I had sat down already in my own corner and begun to eat. "Much hurt?" I asked him, very confident for a 6-year-old as Jim. He grunted, or rather I might say he barked. If that doctor was a bold, he said, I'd be right enough in a couple of turns. But I don't have no manner of luck, you see. And that's what's the matter with me. As for that swab, Psycho Willie Winky, who's still lying dead there like that. As for that swab, he's good and dead, he is, he added, indicating the man with the red cap. He won't no seaman anyhow. And where Mort you have come from? Mort? We haven't had that for a while. We haven't had that since chapter 1, Mort. And where Mort you have come from, shipmate? Well, said I, I've come aboard to take possession of the ship, Mr. Hans, and you'll please regard me as your captain until further notice. Cocky 6-year-old. He looked at me sourly enough, but said nothing. Some of the colour had come back into his cheeks, though he still looked very sick, and he still continued to slip out and settle down as the ship banged about. By the by, I continued, I can't have these colours, Mr. Hans, and by your leave I'll strike 'em. Better none than these. He's been a bit of a bad man here, Jim. And again, dodging the boom, whoom, over his head. I ran to the colour lines, handed down their cursed black flag, and chucked it overboard. God save the king, said I, waving my cap. And there's an end to Captain Silver. Very stirring stuff. If you're a monarchist or British. He watched me keenly and slyly, his chin all the while on his breast. I reckon, he said at last. I reckon, Captain Hawkins, you'll kind of want to get ashore now. Suppose we talks. Why, yes, says I. With all my heart, Mr. Hans. Say on. And I went back to my meal with good appetite. Yeah, you boshed it, Jim. You boshed it. I can't see this going wrong. I cannot see this going wrong. This man. So much sass, roly-poly. This man, he began, nodding feebly at the corpse. O'Brien were his name. A rank Irelander. So we've got a bit of backstory for Psycho Willie Winky. He is in fact an Irishman called O'Brien. And there was us just thinking he was just some mad bloke who always wore a red nightcap, even during violent assaults on fortresses. Well, got to come up with some sort of backstory. We could do a whole spin-off of Jim Psycho Willie Winky O'Brien, late of Kilkenny, now dead from pirate fighting. Pirate fighting. That's what it says on the death certificate. Cause of death: pirates. O'Brien from Downton, says Minislot. Yeah. So Psycho Willie. No wonder Psycho Willie Winky was so angry all the time. He was O'Brien. Well, I don't like anything, and I don't like you, and I don't like anything. Me. That's O'Brien. Right then, men, we're going to attack that fort in the morning. You attack it if you want, I won't attack it. It's not for the likes of us to attack. I'll attack what I'm told. Stop being so difficult, O'Brien. I'll do what I'm difficult when I'm difficult what I want to do, and I'll not take it from the likes of you, and I don't owe what I won't owe nothing, Thomas. Drop some soap on the floor for Long John to slip on his crutch. O'Brien were his name. A rank Irelander. This man and me got the canvas on her, meaning for her to sail her back. Well, he's dead now, he is. Correct. As dead as bilge. And who's to sail this ship, I don't see. Without I gives you in, you ain't that man, as far as I can tell. Now look here. You gives me food and drink, and an old scarf or handkerchief to tie my wound up. You do. And I'll tell you how to sail her. And that's about square all round, I take it. I'll tell you one thing. says I. I'm not going back to Captain Kidd's anchorage. I mean to get into North Inlet and beach her quietly there. To be sure you did, he cried. 1 second, guys. Sorry. We're having some problems there with the multi-stream. Don't know why. Sorry about that, guys. It's broken up the tension of the scene, hasn't it? We'll go back. I'll tell you one thing, says I. I'm not going back to Captain Kidd's anchorage. I mean to get into North Inlet and beach her quietly there. To be sure you did, he cried. Why, I ain't such an infernal lubber after all. I can see, can't I? I've tried my fling, I have, and I've lost. And it's you that has the wind of me. North Inlet? Why, I haven't no choice, not I. I'd help you sail her up to Execution Dock, by thunder, so I would. I don't trust him. Well, as it seemed to me, there was some sense in this. We struck our bargain on the spot. In 3 minutes I had the Hispaniola sailing easily before the wind along the coast of Treasure Island, with good hopes of turning the northern point ere noon and beating down again as far as North Inlet before high water, when we might beach her safely and wait till the subsiding tide permitted us to land. Then I lashed the tiller and went below to my own chest, where I got a soft silk handkerchief of my mother's. With this, and with my aid, Hans bound up the great bleeding stab he had received in the thigh, and after he'd eaten a little and had a swallow or two more of the brandy, he began to pick up visibly, sat straighter up, spoke louder and clearer, and looked in every way another man. Oh, good, I'm glad to hear he's doing well, I hope he's trustworthy, Jim. The breeze served us admirably. We skimmed before it like a bird, the coast of the island flashing by, and the view changing every minute. Soon we were past the highlands and bowling beside the low. That's not just a really extreme example of my Wolverhampton accent. Low. It was very low. It was right. The low. Soon we were past the highlands and bowling beside the low, sandy country, sparsely dotted with dwarf pines, and soon we were beyond that again, and had turned the corner of the rocky hill that ends the island on the north. I was greatly elated with my new command, little Jim, captain of the ship, and he's only 6, and pleased with the bright, sunshiny weather and these different prospects of the coast. I had now plenty of water and good things to eat, and my conscience, which had smitten me hard for my desertion, was quieted by the great conquest I had made. The low there you'd use while referring to Low Hill, says Rhiannon. Yes, exactly. Always going down Low Hill, eh? Where's he going? Always going down Low Hill. Going to say the Christmas lights, eh? Low Hill is a part of Wolverhampton for any of you who aren't from there. And that is Low Hill. Laowilll. Low Hill. Anyway, Jim's in a great mood. My conscience, which had smitten me hard for my desertion, was quieted by the great conquest I had made. I should, I think, have had nothing left me to desire, but for the eyes of the coxswain, as they followed me derisively about the deck, and the odd smile that appeared continually on his face. It was a smile that had in it something both of pain and weakness. A haggard old man's smile. But there was, besides that, a grain of derision, a shadow of treachery in his expression, as he carefully watched and watched and watched me at my work. End of Ciao.